No. We're not starting this. You specky bastard. I leave for one episode, and I think, I can leave the kids in the house alone. They'll be fine. Go to the shops. Come back. Burnt down. Dog's dead. TARDIS maxed out. What the did you do? What the did you do? God damn it!
I think he's talking to you, Ignacio.
What? Yes,
what
exactly.
did I do?
Fucking yes. What did you do? What did you do?
Right.
You caused a storm.
Okay.
What did I do? I didn't do anything.
Okay, so I think what Soul is alluding to is basically from, I don't know if you guys are obviously following us at Wrestling Republic
Your
on
opinion
Instagram. If you want, you should. But yeah, there's a one certain video that pretty much triggered the Wrestling Republic fan base about what Ignacio thinks about the match between Will Ospreay and Orange Cassidy, aka in his words, not mine, the Santino Marella of AEW. So obviously that's what we're going to be speaking about today regarding the whole thing about Forbidden Door, and especially that match in particular, which was very divisive amongst people at the start. But obviously we will delve into the match and obviously what we thought of it at once it obviously concluded. But yeah, that's what basically Soul is talking about. Obviously, he was not at the last show, and obviously you gave your tutus of what you thought about. I can't leave you two alone
for 1 minute, can I? I can't leave you alone. Jesus God.
So yeah, forget the intro, forget the guys, Soul, Ignacio, all that stuff. Let's just pretty much just get into it. I ain't even gonna bubble with the open signature. Yeah, well, let's just start off with obviously what the talking point, which is everyone wants to talk about.
We need to know now, Ignacio, do you change your opinion? Were you wrong?
Yeah.
No, I was absolutely right.
Oh, God.
What is wrong with you? I mean, what is your malfunction?
What is your malfunction? Are you absolutely dafty? Jesus Christ. How? That was an excellent match. The best match on the pay-per-view, and easily a great match for Contender of the Year. That was stellar. It was absolutely amazing. The close finishes, the flips, all the stuff, the mocking with the pockets, Will Ospreay doing the wee compress and then sticking his hand in Ospreay's pocket and pulling up a middle finger. The bad debut at the end of the show as well. I mean, that match, sorry. I mean, Jesus. It was great, easily. Honestly, give it a 5-star match. And then there's just you, Mr. left alone. Jesus Christ. It's like, no, it's not fine enough for me. It's not a 30-minute resting hold with tons of arm bars and all that. No, miserable.
All right, hold on.
I mean, Dax Harwood against Ospreay wasn't that either, and that match was 100 times better than what this match was at Forbidden Door. Was it not chaos?
High horse.
All right, hold on. It's an open table. He needs to say his tutus before we go down his throat. So please, Ignacio, explain your thoughts. Why did it not change your mind? What was your what was going through your mind for this whole match?
I had some names here, and then I'll just shoot them off the top of my head because I didn't bring them with me. But Will Hobbs, Ricky Starks, Frankie Kazarian, people that weren't on the show. Wheeler Yuta was on the show, right? Well, just those three there. Will Hobbs, Frankie Kazarian. Who did I mention?
Ricky Starks.
Christian Cage. I put him here on my phone here. Those four. Who's another veteran that's on? Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is any of the four I mentioned, coming off of Dax Harwood, would have put on 100 times better match with Will Ospreay than the chimpanzee with glasses did at Forbidden Door. It was embarrassing. It's fucking humiliating that this moron gets as a push and TV time. I don't get what Tony Khan's obsession is with this idiot. He has no talent. His muscles look like mosquito bites on a strand of fucking spaghetti. All
right, lift your shirt up then. Let's your shirt up.
You can't you can't take him seriously. Will Ospreay, I'm not counting the flips and all that bullshit that was involved in the match because I didn't really think there was much as I thought that there was going to be of that crap. But I like Will Ospreay, especially in these past couple of years. He's gotten a little thicker. He's put on some weight. Right around the time he won the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and then I think he broke his neck or something. You know, it seemed like he was coming to his own as far as being well-rounded in the ring. And then the match with Dax Harwood proved it that he can go, and he can go with somebody who's a great technician and put on a great match. But then we got to go back to the fucking comedy because Forbidden Door needs some comedy thrown into it, which it didn't. It was already a lackluster pay-per-view. It was the second worst pay-per-view of the year.
Oh, off.
Right behind.
What is your malfunction?
Sorry, go on. Sorry, I had to put that. Sorry.
Any of the four guys I mentioned, I would have loved to have seen Ricky Starks against Will Ospreay. I thought that would have been a lot better match. I would have loved to have seen maybe Powerhouse Pops or maybe them try to push somebody else that's actually going to be on their TV on a consistent basis, because we're probably never going to see Will Ospreay again, at least for another year, if they did decide to do it next year. And I think they should change the concept next year. But this pay-per-view, it was a wash, including this match. It was just everything that's wrong with wrestling. You just look at Orange Cassidy, and that's it. All you got to do is look at him. He's way worse than anything the New Day has ever produced. He's just a joke. This is embarrassing. And for him, I'm surprised that Will Ospreay, Zack Sabre Jr. came out and said that, you know, how awful of a match or whatever with Claudio he had. I'm surprised Will Ospreay put up with this bullshit. But I mean, I know he was at one point friends with Twinkle Toast McFinger Bang Kenny Omega, so he's probably put on a couple of comedy matches before, so he didn't mind. But for his U.S. debut, pay-per-view debut at least, it should have been somebody that could have given him a good professional match instead of this jokester, this Doink the Clown fucking wannabe. And Doink the Clown, Matt Bourne, was actually a great technical wrestler, so that's an insult to Matt Bourne. So this was just embarrassing. I'm tired of this shit. I think WWE right now, or AEW, is in a time where they can't press pause on anything serious or serious storylines. I think they need to start more now more than ever, start pushing younger talent. When's the last time you saw fucking Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs, who I thought they were gonna put into like a serious, awesome tag team? Before this, were they on Dynamite or Rampage last week? They weren't involved in the pay-per-view. They didn't have any restrictions because they were on the buy-in. The buy-in. Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs were on the buy-in. Give me a break, dude. But then Orange Cassidy gets pay-per-view time. This is a sham. It's a disgrace. Tony Khan has no business booking if he's going to be continue booking this monkey with shades.
Okay. All right. Before you let off, Soul, just hold it. Put the cap on for a second. Let me just get my side of the things out of the way first, if it's all right with you, Soul. So first off, I wholeheartedly disagree. I thought that match was way better than it should be. I think the thing is that because Orange Cassidy is a joke character, that everyone is obviously blinded by how you know, not technically gifted, but I mean he can put on a great match when he really wants to. And I thought that they have like completely, you know, huge amounts of chemistry. There was no botches, there was no sloppiness, unlike a certain match that happened last night. The crowd was into it. Even though, like, I also think that if Orange Cassidy wasn't over with the fans, he probably won't get as booked as he does now. But the guy is huge, like humongously over. And I think because of the reception that he gets, unless you call in every Western fan an idiot, and they're just completely just blind, and they just don't know what wrestling is.
Well, they almost are. They almost know, because they've been poisoned for the past 20 years on on what wrestling should be. They think it should be this bullshit that they presented on pay-per-view. I mean, I just remember that Tony Khan has a whole other roster. I don't know how many people he has. He definitely has contact with whoever was signed to Ring of Honor. I mean, you got Samoa Joe. You got Jay Lethal, you got Jonathan Gresham, you got Josh Woods. I can go on and on about who would have put your quote-unquote 5-star match of the year with Will Ospreay other than this goof. I mean, are you going to disagree with any of the people I just mentioned? Samoa Joe, Jonathan Gresham, Jay Lethal, Josh Woods, fucking.
No, of course. Like if you want, like obviously a technical match and chemistry, of course, those guys are definitely up there. But that's not to say that Orange Cassidy is like moves like the Great Khali. The guy can freaking move, and the fact that the crowd was so into it, then he must be doing something right. And the fact that also when going back to the post that we did, obviously when you the original post when you said that he was like the Santino and Morello of AEW and whatnot. Obviously, that was posted a week before the pay-per-view, if I believe. People actually came back after the show and actually said, like, see, I told you it was a 5-star match. So
I was gonna agree with them.
They said it, I don't know.
I was gonna
something is awry here, because like obviously you must be in the minority that didn't enjoy it because everyone else did. So but I just feel that I think it's a bit harsh. I just think it's a bit harsh.
I'll tack this from another aspect. Like I said before, if Will Ospreay's not gonna be on TV for a year, I just think they should have put in somebody that could have put on a good match with Ospreay to make him look good, so they can look forward to something to next year if that's the next time we're gonna see him. Not only that, to elevate somebody like a Ricky Starks, like somebody from ROH who probably needs it, that they're going to put on TV, or Darby Allin, who I know was in another 6-man match, was just fucking cluster, or there's somebody else that could have been elevated and gotten that push.
Fair enough. I mean, there's still time. You never know. Obviously, this whole pay-per-view was obviously it was even Tony Khan admitted it was muddled with politics and whatnot, and it was a bit tricky to work with New Japan as a whole, but they somehow made it work. And obviously it was cursed with injuries and whatnot, but it's a stepping stone to obviously what can potentially happen in the future. They might change the concept of it and whatnot. But yeah, who knows? We're having some talk. Speaking of technicals, looks like Soul is having some connection issues right now. I was just about to ask his 2-2s about this. Just trying to find out if he's going to come back. Soul, are you still there?
I understand. I'll add on a little bit here while he's trying to recover, but I'll add in as far as understand that you mentioned the politics and so forth. And there's a lot of hokey pokiness as far as like when New Japan wanted and AEW wanted, and that was more prevalent than anything else probably in the last 2 matches. Nobody wants to lose. Nobody wants to take a pin, or whatever. So they need to do a better job of ironing out what they really want to do next year if they're going to do this again. I think they should go. I thought originally that it was going to be something similar to what WCW did in '95 and have like a World Cup deal or whatever. And then maybe the last 2 matches, or the other main 2 matches, be like one match be for the IWGP title, and then the other match be for the AEW World title, and then the rest have like a Cup Series or whatever. I would have been fine with that, because if you're gonna pause all storylines to throw an event like this, then that's the concept that you should go with.
Yeah, I do feel like I think this will be a decent pay-per-view to obviously pause the storylines, because I think obviously they were trying to obviously filter all that kind of all the storylines into this pay-per-view, and maybe that might have been, well, I wouldn't say it was their downfall or it was a mistake, but because in my opinion it worked. But I wouldn't mind having this also like a totally separate thing where all pay-per-views, so all storylines all come to a halt, and it's just a battle of promotions and see where it goes with there. Well, maybe New Japan didn't really want to work that way. I've heard previously that they can be very dicey to work with regarding if you want to borrow their talent and whatnot. Ever since they got burned when they lent Okada to TNA, and they turned him into the Green Hornet, and look what happened there. How could you do that to the Rainmaker? So they're very protective of their people. So
man, well, I mean, everybody over there probably knew how talented Okada was, but that was what in the late 2000s.
Yeah, it was
2010.
Yeah, around that time.
9 or 10, right? But
Yeah.
I mean that's just one of the black guys of TNA. But I mean, I think they should have known a little bit better how much of a mark that Tony Khan is in AEW, and he wouldn't let anything like that happen to Okada or Tanahashi or Kenta or whoever. But I mean, I understand.
What about you, Sol? The floor is yours, please.
Well, I've been disconnecting all the time because my laptop can't handle this bullshit that's being spoken right now. I mean, Jesus, where the fuck did I begin? Fuck me. Orange Cassidy is probably AEW's biggest draw, merchandise-wise, views-wise, and everything else-wise. He's an absolute great talent. He's great for analytics, business-wise. The dude is an absolute hot sell. Everyone loves him. Fans love him. You don't love him. I don't know, but you're not loved much as a child. Maybe that's it. But it was an absolutely great match, a match for the ages, one that is definitely match of the year. This show is easily in the top 5. I don't know why you have such a deep hatred for it. I do not know why. I wish I understood why. Ospreay was Andrade. Is Andrade you would have rather seen with Will? Who knows? But all in all, I thought it was fine. There was no issues with it for me. It was a great match. No problems.
Fair enough. I'm just trying to bring up the actual card at a minute, because I can't remember the full thingy. Hold on 1 second. I just want to know which of these matches. I got a feeling I know one of those matches you probably stuck into your craw, Ignacio, and that was probably the first match, which was what was it?
What was that?
There's the 6-man.
Yeah, the Jericho Appreciation Society versus Shota Umino, Wheeler Yuta, and Eddie Kingston. Did that bother you that much? Just because, or was that okay?
Dude, those matches don't just look. Just 6-mans in general. They're all a fucking cluster. Nobody gets over. Minoru Suzuki. I know. I wouldn't fuck with Minoru Suzuki. All right, he's a fucking at 50, whatever fucking years old. I wouldn't fuck with him. Okay, I know he could stretch my fat ass, but I mean. Dude, when he's on TV, he just looks like a fucking 80-year-old fucking grandfather, and everybody has to handle him like a Fabergé egg. It's just this guy, the chops were chop me, and then I'll chop you, and then fucking chop me, and then I'll chop you, and then no selling, and all this bullshit. I'm just tired of it. And it's just not in that match. It's in every other fucking match. I hate when Eddie Kingston does it also, by the way, just in case there's no favoritism or anything like that. But I think Sammy Guevara is getting colder than he probably is or ever will be, because, like I said before, I think they had good heat, and then they had go away heat, and now we don't give a fuck about you heat because of who's he's associated with, in my opinion, with Ty Conte and Jericho. I think they need to change where his trajectory is headed, and they need to change it fast, or else he's going to get cold and he's not going to be able to recover, or he might take him a while to recover. This was just a much ado about nothing match. I think if anybody shined in this match, it was Wheeler Yuta. And I know people, he's always talking good about Wheeler Yuta. Well, get Wheeler Yuta, he's fucking good, all right? When he takes the business, he's somebody who actually takes the business seriously. He's with William Regal, and he works out with Bryan Danielson, and I think he's going to be a great talent and somebody to look out for. So I think if anybody shined in this match, it was him. But I mean, just these 6-mans and everything they had, they're just such a cluster, hard to watch, hard to follow. They don't follow tag team rules. They follow the fucking Lucha Trios rules, where bullshit. I wish they would just keep that over there. But I mean, it's a mess. This whole pay-per-view was a mess, but this match was a horrible opener. It had Jericho in it, so that speaks for itself.
So you're saying that this whole pay-per-view was a mess? I mean, considering the fact we had FTR, the triple threat, you didn't even like the what about the winner of the All Atlantic Championship match? Like, because everyone thought it was going to be Miro, which understandably, but it was a nice surprise. It was a pleasant surprise in Pac. And, you know, everyone complained that he's not getting a singles run. He's stuck with Death Triangle and this bullshit with the House of Black. And
the problem I have with that is number one, I think Miro would probably brought a little bit more legitimacy to the title because I think he's considered a little bit more than a threat. Not that I take anything away from Pac and his ability, because he can satiate the marks with the flip-diddy-do bullshit, but he can also wrestle and work and sell and so forth. So again, it's another multiply. How many one-on-one matches were on this fucking pay-per-view? Can we just have a straight mano-a-mano one-on-one match? That was my thing, is that these multiple man matches are all clusters. I hated the fucking deal with Malachi Black spraying the mist in Miro's face. Why didn't he just go and fucking kick him in the face? Why do we have to make it a gimmick? Why did he have to spray the mist in the face when Miro had Pac in the clutches? Kick the motherfucker in the face. Miro gets knocked out of the ring. But I guess they wanted to protect Miro, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't want Miro seeming like he went to get his ass kicked. Look, in that situation, in that kind of match, if you catch a guy off guard and knock him out, it's fine. But no, they wanted to go with the gimmick. As far as the winner and Pac winning, is it a good choice? I don't think it was the best choice, but probably better than Malachi Black and better than Clark Connors, whoever they had in there, because, you know, nobody knows him on TV. I don't think he was ever intended to win. And if it was Ishii, I don't think he was slated out to win. So it just depends what they do with the title and who they line up for Pac as contenders. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it all depends on the outcome to see if it was a flop. But yeah, I was happy for the winner. In my opinion, the match itself was fine for what it was. I was totally ready for Miro to take the title, but maybe they're gearing him up for something more bigger than, you know, instead of using him as the starting point of a new title.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind him going for the main one, but I'd rather him wait until he faces the actual champion, like if it's whether it's CM Punk or John Moxley, because if it's going to be the interim, it doesn't mean much. Because I think what is it, Brodus Clay? No, is it Brodus Clay? Not Brodus Clay. Brody King. He's challenging for the interim, and you know he will be logically a formidable contender, but because it's for the interim, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't mean much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because it's refreshing, but I don't know.
Well, did Soul get scared? Is that why he's not on anymore? Did he go away?
He was going to have a meltdown before he decided to walk away. But no, I think it's still having connection issues. He's trying to get in as soon as he possibly can. But yeah.
What other match did you want to talk about?
I mean, what about the one for the IWGP title? I mean, obviously it had a bit of an unfortunate, messy ending. You know, it was no one's fault. It was just obviously a freak accident. But
you're talking about the world title?
Yes.
Okay.
Jay White, Okada, and Page, and Cole. Did you think that was besides the ending? Did you think it was okay?
It wasn't. Like I said, it's hard for everybody to shine in this match. It definitely wasn't Okada's best performance that I've seen at all.
No, definitely not. No.
So that's my point. Is a lot of okay. Answer me this: would you say like a lot of the AEW fans, the AEW fan base knows about New Japan and who these individuals are?
I would like to think so. If the demographic is between 18 to 36, then surely, yeah.
Okay, so the people who don't know who they are and they want these stars to shine because they want to do another pay-per-view this next year, or they want to bring them in between then. I don't think this was the best way to introduce everybody, is what I'm trying to get. I think Okada and it should have been in a one-on-one match. I think Jay White should have been in a one-on-one match, because it's just hard to display what you can do, because you got to make sure everybody's got to get all their shit in. So I definitely didn't think it was Okada's best portrayal. Jay White, I don't think is a talent that can carry somebody on his own. I think he has to have somebody that can carry a match in order for him to perform well. So I definitely don't think it was his best portrayal or his best match at all. I thought if anybody shined, it was Hangman Page, which isn't saying anything very good, because I don't think Hangman Page is on fire lately at all, especially after losing the title and so forth. So, it was not great. I think pretty disappointing. Take out the finish because, like you said, because shit happens. Guys are going to make mistakes, get hurt, or whatever. Don't know if Crowder was blown up or Cole slipped out of his hands or whatever. Everybody was shitting on the finish, I think, until they realized what happened. That what's his name? Adam Cole got concussed or whatever. That shit's gonna happen all the time. Doesn't matter how good you are. All the guys. There's a lot of guys out there say, "Well, I've never hurt anybody." Okay, but just shit happens. Accidents happen.
Yeah.
You can't blame anybody for that. But other than that, I mean, it just, in my opinion, it was a disappointment. It wasn't the best way to display everybody here.
Right. Fair enough. So before your disconnection runs off again, what else was I gonna say? Well, obviously, yeah, you said your piece about the what were we talking about before you disappeared? It was
we were talking about. Well, right now we're talking about the IWGP World Heavyweight Title match.
Ospreay match.
Yeah, Ospreay match. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, obviously,
I felt like that match was a bit weak. Yeah, I definitely think the 4-way was a bit weak. Yeah, I felt like the 4-way was a bit weak just because of the finish. But all in all, I thought it was a fine match for what it was. It was great. There's storyline implications with Jay White pinging Cole. The Bucks were going to help Hangman, but Kyle pulled them back. So there's some stuff settled in there. I think it's definitely there's going to be like an anchoring point that's cementing a lot of storylines for the future.
Yeah. No, I agree. And obviously there was the Claudio versus Zack Sabre Jr. match. Was you happy with the surprise? Well, was the match? Did that match live up to the technical expectations?
It was good. It was probably the best match of the night.
I'm happy.
So it's a slight little lag there.
No.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Ignacio.
I thought he was good. I thought it was the best match of the night, but either that or between Tony Stormer and Thunder Rosa. But I mean, I thought Claudio and Sabre had a good match again. I don't think not because of maybe he's just not familiar with Claudio. They might have wrestled each other in ROH 10, 12 years ago, right? It's probably been a while since they've touched. I definitely don't think it was probably the best match that they could have had, but it was good. It was very good. I just thought maybe if they touched in between then, they would have had a lot better match if they were more familiar with each other. But then again, Zack Sabre Jr. didn't know he was wrestling Claudio. He thought he was going to wrestle Daniel Bryan. So I thought if it was a little bit shorter, I thought Claudio could have displayed Claudio a little bit better. Maybe it was a little bit too long. I think 8-9 minutes would have been good. Get Claudio in there, get him do his power moves, make him look good, because Claudio's going to be on TV for the next year or 2 years or however long they signed him for. So build him up, make him look good. I mean, I'm not saying it should have been a squash match, but they should have done a little bit better job of highlighting Claudio a little bit better.
Fair enough. Saul, your thoughts?
I thought it was great. It was a great surprise seeing Claudio in there, and I think it's going to be a great place for him. There's a lot of storyline potential. Him and Eddie have a lot of history in Chakra, which is good, or Chikara, I think it is one of those two. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't think it went too long. I thought the quick start was really nice to see. It was, and I thought it was just fine. I don't really have much to complain about that match.
Okay, fair enough. What was your weakest match on the card, Saul?
I think the women's match.
Yeah, I agree. I think so, simply because I don't think it had a place to be there. I mean, this is meant to be New Japan versus AEW, and this is something that you will see on a random episode of Dynamite. Nothing to take away from the ladies. Obviously, they're great, they're good, but it's just that it felt very out of place on this pay-per-view. I felt it was, to me, if the what was shouting at me was that they just gave it to them just to keep them quiet for a while. You know what I mean? Because obviously Thunder Rosa is apparently she's very unhappy with the way the women's division is right now, and everyone it's a glaring issue that the women's division is not not been dealt well. And I thought this was just a way to just, before they start complaining that they're not on a pay-per-view, and you got to wait until what's the next one? Revolution? What's the next one?
Yeah, All Out.
All Out's the next one. Okay, yeah. So
All Out.
So yeah, I thought it was just to keep them quiet for now, and then until the next one to see what's happening. But
I think part of the problem is maybe they've been putting a lot of attention on Jade Cargill.
Yes,
which I don't. I guess she looks like on paper she looks like a star. Or visually, she looks like a star. It's the old, like, you see him in an airport and you look at him, it's like, damn, who's that movie star and all that bullshit. The McMahon thing. But I mean, I get it. She looks like somebody other than it would be in the wrestling business that you can see in movies and all that shit, or shows or all that. And Thunder Rosa is just a great wrestler. But I mean, damn. I mean, I thought this was a good match. Was it the best match these two could have had? Probably not, but I thought it was good. But Thunder Rosa, I don't think her complaint was that she just wasn't getting the TV time that she should be getting, which she's the women's world champion, and she should be getting adequate number of TV time. Not only that, then there's just, from what I've read and heard, and maybe you guys can elaborate maybe a little bit more, that pay attention more to the dirt sheets, is that she's not very popular in the back, in the locker room with the other ladies. And I don't know how far that goes or how true that is. But one thing I will say is that report, and I think it came out a couple of weeks ago, and I'll say this right now, dude, I've been watching Thunder Rosa since she started. It's just, like I said, she was wrestling in rundown movie theaters, wrestling for Cokes and hot dogs and stuff. And dude, Thunder Rosa, doesn't matter if there's 12 people in the crowd, 1,200 or 12,000 or 120,000. Thunder Rosa don't sandbag nobody. So fuck that shit. So I don't know why, if it's part of it's the ladies are souring on her for some reason. I know Britt Baker, there was a tweet deal with her, and Britt Baker has Tony Khan's ear to some effect or aspect. But I do believe that she needs to get more TV time, and they need to start lining up opponents for her. And not so much. They need to find a balance between her and Jade Cargill. She just needs much more attention and needs opponents to match her style, and get as much attention as they do Jade Cargill. And that's I'm not a booker. We're not bookers or whatever, but they just need to figure it out.
Yeah. No, I definitely like Thunder Rosa as well. And I've always thought, how they do these special dynamites like Holiday Bash and Road Rager, that they could have an all-female dynamite eventually one day.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. But yeah, they got a huge roster to do it. I'd be cool with that. Why not? Carry on with what WWE only did once and then didn't bother to do it again. Dumbasses. But anyway, so basically, all in all, for you, Sol, this is one of the top 5 pay-per-views of the year. For Ignacio, this is one of probably the top 3 worst pay-per-views of the year, in your opinion. Is that correct?
It is the second worst. Double or Nothing is still the worst.
Oh my God!
I'm forgiving. You know what?
Not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble, and I don't want to be in big trouble.
I mean, I can tell you right now what the worst pay-per-view of the year was. Easy. You know what that was? It was the World in GCW.
Dude, I don't count that garbage bullshit. Don't even talk to me about it.
It was a pay-per-view. It was sold for pay-per-view value money. It's the worst pay-per-view of the year so far. And unless anything else comes out of that shit.
I would probably I'd agree with you if I watched that, or even thought that bullshit was on the same even stratosphere as the companies we're talking about today. It's just
fair enough.
Double or Nothing is the worst pay-per-view of the year. I'm sorry.
Okay. Moving swiftly on. Okay,
Let's
cool.
Move on.
Yeah, I'll be saving my thoughts on my what's the best and worst pay-per-views at the end of the year, as we always do. We do like yearly roundup, so be sure to check that out. We may have Ignacio on that show if he doesn't get canceled by then. No, I'm joking. But so moving on from Forbidden Door, let's just let's go dabble into the next Dynamite episode, which featured Blood and Guts, which was the Jericho Association Society, Ignacio's favorite group, versus the BCC Blackpool Combat Club. Yeah, this was high from what I saw from the internet. It was highly regarded. It was I'm just saying it was people enjoyed it. For me personally, out of all the other like there's been a lot, but out of all the Blood and Guts matches, this one felt the most sloppiest, I must say. It was enjoyable at certain parts. Of course it was enjoyable. But this one just didn't flow as well as I thought that the first one did. In terms of there was a lot of like missed spots, or like there was a lot of times where there was a lot of downtime and they were freestyling some things and it didn't really work out at some points. There was a lot of it's one of my pet peeves. I hate it when you like, I call it the Cena shouts, where you see them loudly calling next spots, or they're trying to call people over to say, all right, you got to be here, or like they're missing their spot. And of course there was an unfortunate injury with Santana as well. That it didn't even last 3 minutes in the match. He just did a botched uranagi and that was it for the count, which I feel so bad for him. I got a feeling it's probably a torn ACL or MCL, so that's months on the shelf. Yeah, sorry?
You can't catch a break.
You can't catch a break, 100%. I like that the finish. The finish of it was pretty cool. It was obviously at first I thought it was like a botch at the end. But given the history between Cesaro and Eddie Kingston, and obviously he wanted to make sure Jericho tapped and whatnot, and obviously it was just like obviously fuming with that. I like that little touch. That was nice. But yeah, definitely wasn't my favorite Blood and Guts. Didn't really, this obviously at the same time I'm glad that this should be the blow off. This is it. This is it between them two. But yeah, that's what I just want to get out of my chest. What did you think about this match, Ignacio?
I mean, it wasn't good, but it wasn't the worst I've seen. I'm throwing in Blood and Guts with War Games, and because it is a War Games match, and
yeah.
I mean, it wasn't the worst it wasn't bad, but it wasn't the worst I've seen. Probably the worst I've ever seen is probably what NXT did last year with the Black.
I've yet to see that. I did not bother with that. I think the hype for it was it meant to be the old school versus the new school?
Yes, it's fucking terrible.
Yeah,
WCW had some back in their day. They weren't very good. I think. 94. Yeah, the 94 and 95 were bad. That was Hogan and his guys against the Dungeon of Doom, and
oh my god,
Dusty and Dustin and Nasties against the Stud Stable. Those were bad. It wasn't good. You can tell a lot of guys were lost. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to work in that environment. The JSA is just jobber central. Jericho and a bunch of jobbers against, on the other side, Moxley. Say what you want about him. He's a star. He's been on TV for the past 12 years or whatever. He's been presented as a superstar and in a good light with this company or the other company. And then you got Cesaro, who was a major star, and then on the other side you got, I mean, how many matches have these guys had on TV? Daniel Garcia and then 2.0, and then I've never seen them win a match ever have seen them win a match on TV ever. I mean, so it's just like I didn't see the appeal to it. It was they were trying to portray combat. We're the real deal against you foo fucking sports entertainers, who occasionally get one over on us. I don't think the match had very much appeal. I wasn't too excited about it. I don't think it was the worst War Games ever, but it's up there. People didn't know what they were doing. One thing I did get out of this that I didn't really expect was that Eddie Kingston is like way over than he was like 2-3 weeks ago. Like
100%.
way over. And a lot of people talk about, well, he's not, depending on who's he against, he can have a good match. Like we saw him with Bryan Danielson and Punk, and we've seen before in Miro. If he's in there with somebody good, he'll have a good match. If he's expected to lead a match, it's probably not going to be a very good match. But he's a character babyface. People like his character, and people like what he can do on the microphone. Yeah. And I don't know how much, Soul always brings up merchandise sales and all that bullshit. But I mean, fine if you sell T-shirts, but I don't know how much merch he sells. But he definitely has a connection with the fans. And this was some time back that he mentioned that he wanted to go on the straight and narrow as far as like, he didn't want to smoke for a while or drink or what have you, because he really wants to try to make a run for the World Heavyweight title and for Tony Khan to elevate him in that position. Well, if he plans to do it, now's the time to do it, because he should know how over he is, and I hope Tony Khan knows how over he is. So if he's going to do it, then now's the time to do it.
Yeah,
that's the only thing positive that came out of this bullshit was Eddie Kingston's over. You need to do something with him.
Yeah, it could go out. It could go either way. I think Soul said to me before we started recording about what could possibly happen. Obviously, it looks like they are definitely building up to some friction between Claudio and Eddie Kingston, and then eventually, obviously, I think obviously Claudio is going to be not necessarily the face of the Blackpool Combat Club, but like just one of the mainstays. Eddie Kingston leaves. Might be some friction between him and John Moxley. Then I think down the line, I don't know what pay-per-view he said, but it's going to lead up to John Moxley versus Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston wins the interim title. Then that's when CM Punk returns. And obviously, then, next night, the following Dynamite is going to be CM Punk versus Kingston or something. He doesn't have the title for long. He just obviously, and then CM Punk wins. Which I think that'd be a decent turnout. I think that was it. He said that Kingston wins at Dynamite Grand Slam because that's at New York.
Okay,
Kingston's at New York, so that'd be cool. That'd be very interesting. I definitely want to see him have a little, at least a shot for the title. Yeah. But yeah, they definitely have to do something. He's one of definitely the most over people. Is him, Punk. And Moxley is probably the top over people, maybe. And maybe you got to throw in Cassidy. That's top 4. They are the most over people. So they got to do something with that.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, I agree. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best as well in terms of the of Blood and Guts. Would you be fine? Would you want to see another one like later down if they do it like a yearly thing of the
Blood and Guts?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think last year's the one they had with the Jericho.
Yeah, it gets thrown off
against the MJF's group.
Pinnacle.
Yeah, that one was solid. It was good. I liked it. As long as they have a good build towards it, which I think what last year's had was they didn't have much of a build. They just kind of threw MJF's group together against Jericho's group at the time had already been kind of established, the Inner Circle, and they just kind of threw MJF's group together. I just think Jericho and MJF was built up for like a year, right? Or 9 months.
Much. Yeah.
But the faction against faction wasn't built up very well. But anyway, yeah, if they get 2 groups of guys who actually have a good build and a good legitimate rivalry against each other, I'm not opposed to it. I think TNA with their lethal lockdown concept, I think there was maybe one good one, maybe 2 that they had. Dude, it's hard to get away from the original, man. I mean, back in the 80s and early 90s, they had some awesome ones, and they just kind of nobody's been able to replicate that as far as this type of match before. I mean, It's been a long time since I've seen a really, really good War Games or Blood and Guts or however you want to look at it in any promotion. So but I mean, yeah, that'd be up for seeing a yearly, but I mean, it's got to have a good build. You got to have people who know what they're doing lay out the match, which Arn Anderson has been in a ton of them. And I don't think he had his fingers anywhere near this match because it would have been a lot better.
Fair enough. Go.
We're checking on an hour here. I know Soul's gone, but I don't know what you're going to talk about next. But there's one thing I want to mention on SmackDown that I saw on SmackDown. So, what was LA Knight's name in NWA or Eli Drake, right?
Yes. Oh God, I think I know where you're going.
Eli Drake, LA Knight is phenomenal performer, phenomenal on the mic. I mean, he's kind of like, to me, and everybody's gonna say like you're full of shit. To me, he's almost like potentially like Rock level on the mic, like close to it, like almost there, because he's just anything you give him, dude. He's just like he just makes it work. Anything you give him, an impact. I know he was a part of that original class with FCW, where Sasha was and Bray Wyatt and all those guys were, but didn't cut the mustard back then. He had a run in Impact. He was in NWA for a while. I'm like, dude, this guy's a WWE guy, like all the way. Like there was no doubt that during the pandemic and the NWA guys started kind of the good ones anyway, started going to Impact and AEW and all this stuff, like they started dispersing. There, without a doubt in my mind, that I had no doubt that LA Knight or Eli Drake was going to go to WWE. He's just a WWE. He leaks WWE. I can't see him in AEW. So he ended up in NXT. Awesome run, in my opinion. Old school NXT went out the window. I think they wanted to turn him in kind of like a player coach, kind of, what have you. He had a run with Grimes, which I thought was pretty good with Ted DiBiase. Dude, anything they gave this guy, he just turned it into gold. I mean, this guy just has the Midas touch of gold. So they move him up to the main roster, of course, and they got to change his name, and they changed the gimmick. Maximum Male Models. Did I get that right? Triple M?
Yep.
Maximum Male Models?
Yep.
Dude, this shit, he comes out his first week. It's just, dude, I can't help it but laugh because it's just, dude, he just makes it work. I don't know what it is. It's just, it's not making fun of wrestling. It's the character he's portraying. It's just, it's funny and it's ridiculous, right? So it's just like, well, I don't want to totally shit on this, and maybe I'm being a little bit biased, but I mean, I can't totally shit on this because it's fucking Eli Drake. Like, I like this character. He had a good look. He could wrestle and work, but obviously, from what we saw, he's not going to be a wrestler. He's gonna be a manager. So, dude, who was it going to be that he was going to introduce on SmackDown? So everybody was waiting, and it's Mace.
No. Yeah, Marseille. There you go.
Marseille and Moonsours, dude.
Yo,
I could not stop laughing. This was one of the most ridiculous things that I have ever seen.
Yes,
but dude, these guys, especially Mansour's. He was all in on it, man. I mean, you look at his eyes. He's just like, he's into this character. Like, they're taking it seriously.
It's Zoolander. It's Zoolander. Yeah. That's what it is.
Dude, I don't know. It's just, they're all in on it. It's just, and then LA Knight's just doing the best with it he can. That was the first time. There may have been others that I forgot. But that was the first time, and I don't think of Michael Cole as an announcer, but that was the first time I had seen him on TV. There might have been other times, but I can't remember Michael Cole visibly wanting to break out laughing at this shit. He was held back so hard.
Yes.
And Pat McAfee was doing. I don't know if Pat McAfee was being sincere and trying to get it over, or just shitting on it on live television. But this was the best segment that I've seen probably on either show for at least 6 weeks,
and that
maybe
says a
3
lot.
months. Dude, it's just I laugh at it, but at the same time, these guys, you can tell they're taking it so seriously and trying so hard.
Yeah.
And LA Knight's just great. Or what's his name? Max Dupree is just. I'm generally interested to see where they go with this, but dude, I couldn't stop laughing. It was ridiculous. I saw they cut to Michael Cole, and Michael Cole's doing everything he can just not to just break out laughing. And Pat McAfee, I don't know. Like I said, it's a mystery. I don't know if he was trying to get these guys over and take it seriously or just shitting on it on live television. But it was, yeah, dude, it was great. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it was different. I mean, for me, when I saw Mansoor, I thought he looked awkward. Like he was trying to get into it, but at the same time, he looked so awkward as hell. Like there was one bit when he took off his glasses and he's trying to do that thing where you put like the lip of it in your mouth and then you completely missed it. And he was just like as if he was missing a straw trying to grab, you know what I mean? It would look so weird. But yeah, God knows where they're gonna go with this. Marseille was well into it.
I can tell you that this dude, he's a big guy. He's fucking physical. That's what they say. He was 6'8".
Yeah, he's a big dude.
And he's probably a legit 6'8". I know they exaggerate on the heights and the weights from now and then, but dude, that guy, he's very imposing.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I actually want to see where they go with this. And look, if it fails, it fails. Maybe, hopefully, then they'll get LA Knight back in the ring.
I mean, I doubt it. I mean, unless you're Goldberg or Undertaker, they don't want to see old people in the ring. No, to them, he's old. But like,
what is he? Is he late 30s?
I think he's in his late 30s. Eli Drake. Let me just verify that. He's 39. Yeah. So in WWE's eyes, that's unless you're Goldberg, or they don't want you in the ring. So they made their mind up. Just pretty much went the inception of NXT 2.0. That once he moves to the main roster, he's gonna be a manager.
Well, look, if he's gonna be a mouthpiece, if it doesn't work out with these guys, then I would hope they would get him in the ring. If they can't, if they don't, then he could be a mouthpiece for anybody else. For anybody else, that's for sure. Because he can talk. He's up there with being one of the best talkers right now. So I just wanted to bring that up, man. I just thought it was
different. I was curious.
I didn't know.
I was curious who was gonna come out and whatnot. Yeah.
Well, I knew one of them was gonna be Mace because I saw they posted something like on Twitter like a couple months ago, introducing the gimmick at a house show.
Oh,
so
okay.
I there was something on Twitter and Mace was one of the guys. So I thought for sure that Mace was going to be one of them. Wasn't too sure because I thought maybe they changed somebody else. But when they found out that there's going to be multiple too, I had no idea who the other guy was going to be. So this is going to be interesting.
Very, very much so. And I'm Triple M for tag champs. That's what I'm saying. Okay, and yeah, just to round it off, before we just wrap up this episode, Money in the Bank as of this recording was pretty much less than 24 hours away. To be fair, I have not watched all of it, but yeah, I was only just seeing bits of it. I've seen the women's Money in the Bank match as well as Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory. So far, I take you're the same as well, Ignacio. You're halfway through it.
Yeah, I'm probably halfway through the second match, which was Lashley and
Theory.
In Theory, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not much for Money in the Bank. The first match, it's just everybody was off. The girls were terrible. I think with matches like that, it's just a no-win situation for anybody.
And it pissed me off as well because I heard the fans saying like "Fight Forever" and "This is awesome," and I was just like,
"Dude, no.
What planet is this Vegas people from?" They were just like, "No, there's 10 times better Money in the Bank matches from both men's and women's than this match." But this one was clunky, it was sloppy, and exposed all these people, because this was pretty much some of them was this is their first pay-per-view match and first multi-man.
Well, I know it's for sure Raquel Rodriguez, is they're calling her now.
Yeah.
So she tried to do a spot where it was Becky was on one end of the ladder. It was one of the hugest ladders they had.
Yes.
I'm sorry for those of you who haven't seen it yet, but one of the hugest ladders they have, and Becky was on one end and Liv Morgan was on the other, and they were going to do a spot where she was supposed to deadlift it, and I'm pretty sure, I'm almost sure she can do it, that she's that strong.
Yeah,
but she couldn't lift the fucking ladder because it was so awkward for her.
Yes,
so it looked bad. It just looked,
definitely.
I don't know. I don't know if they didn't practice it before or what have you, or maybe her hands were sweaty, maybe or some oily or whatever from the other girls. But it's just it looked bad. It was
there was one part where like she was meant to be wedged in between the ladder and the turnbuckle, but where the camera was placed, there was like a huge gap that she could just duck under, and then she had to stay there to wait until someone drives the ladder in, and then there was a lot of bit where she propped, like did a bridge with the ladder outside, and then there was another one standing up, and then she tried to bat it away, and then instead it went right in her face, and then she was just, it was just really, it just exposed her.
And then I was trying to think, well, I know Becky's been in a Money in the Bank ladder match, probably multiple.
Yes.
And she's a veteran. And who else? I mean, maybe there was Lacey Evans, maybe.
I couldn't care for fuck about Lacey Evans. I could like.
Well, I mean, the point I was trying to, I couldn't either. But I mean, the point I was trying to get is just let the veterans lead the match.
Yeah, Asuka as well. She was off.
Okay, yes, and then let them lead the match, do the spots, the high spots or whatever they want, and then everybody else just go for the ladder and try to get the fucking briefcase. Leave the spots to. I hate ladder matches. Is the reason why I hate it, because they get the ladders and they do the match is for spots and spots sake, as in they get the ladders, and instead of trying to get the briefcase, they set up the ladders to do fucking spots. You should get the ladder to get the fucking briefcase. Same thing for ladder matches with the belts. Everybody loves the WrestleMania 10 ladder match with Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon. But I like the second ladder match they actually had at SummerSlam 95, because that match was more get to the ladder, get to the briefcase.
Right.
So if they have the veterans, Becky and Asuka and alike, and just concentrate on them doing the high spots and the other girls trying to get to the ladder, trying to get to the briefcase, I think it would have been fine. I think they tried to do too much, too little time with so many people.
Yeah. No, I agree. It was there's too many cooks in the kitchen with that one, and it just exposed everyone. But yeah,
that's our initial review. That's our initial review
right now. Yeah, tune in next week for the rest.
Yeah.
But and then the Lashley and Theory match it is what it is. Have you finished seeing it, or you're in the midst?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. I mean, I like both guys.
Yeah.
You know, why Bobby Lashley isn't wrestling Roman Reigns at SummerSlam is one question that I have.
We're getting Reigns and Lesnar 12. Yay!
Yeah. And actually, if you go, I mentioned other podcasts here because maybe one day one of ours will get mentioned on a podcast. Like one of ours will get mentioned on a mainstream podcast, but. Like if you listened to it, came out about 2 weeks ago. I think it's already been Busted Open podcast with Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer. They had Eric Bischoff. Actually, no, it was on 83 Weeks with Conrad Thompson and Eric Bischoff, where Bully Ray guest starred. You can look that up kind of easier. But they had a phenomenal storyline for Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar on there. It's just a different take on it. Real quick, I'll get into it. But I mean, apparently, Brock Lesnar had an illness 8 years ago.
Yeah, like an internal illness with the UFC,
almost life-threatening or something.
Yeah, diverticulitis. That's it, diverticulitis.
So they were saying how Brock can come out the following week and tell everybody, "Hey, I would love to wrestle Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, but I'm sick again.
Yeah.
Doctors are iffy about clearing me. And then that brings another character light to Brock Lesnar because nobody's ever felt sympathy for Brock Lesnar before. Because how can you? He's a fucking monster. And the only thing, his kryptonite, is this illness that he has no control over.
Yeah.
Out comes Roman Reigns in the bloodline, beat the shit out of him. And then Roman Reigns stands up and says, I beat fucking leukemia and I beat cancer, and you can't beat your illness. You're weaker than I am. I'm the true tribal chief. I am the true champion. I thought that was absolutely fucking genius.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice.
But then, of course, I mean, you're bringing in people with cancer and, illnesses and.
I mean, they did it with Dean Ambrose. Remember Dean Ambrose did some savage shit. So yeah, they can do it. He did worse. So
I thought it was absolutely genius. And if you're gonna have a match for the 12th time on pay-per-view or whatever, like you said, I don't mind seeing Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, but you got to put a different take on it. And that's a different take, and that's one way you can do it, which I think was absolutely amazing. But
yeah.
So yeah. But anyway. We're getting there.
Well, looking forward to that, definitely. I mean that sarcastically. But yeah. On that note, we've come to the end of it. Unfortunately, Soul had some connection issues. For some reason, he couldn't connect with us. So he just called it quits. That's why he hasn't been back. But yeah,
well, he gets tired of proving he's wrong all the time by me.
Yo, Ben, clip that. Clip that. No, I'm joking. But yeah, as always, thank you very much, Ignacio, for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
And of course, shout out to Soul as well. Hopefully we'll see him next time. But yeah, I have been your host, Chaos. This has been Take It to the Table. Until next time, guys. Peace.